Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Midweek Musings for the 24th of October, 2024. We hope you all are enjoying a wonderful Thursday evening, and we look forward to discussing some very cool acquisitions on the show tonight. As always, we love our toys, we love our lore, and we continue to provide a platform for the community to enjoy collecting, indulge in the stories behind them, and hopefully inspire everyone to broaden their collections. Yes, we are enablers, no doubt, but there's nothing quite as satisfying as cracking open a new box of toys, kicking back and savoring all its three-dimensional goodness while we continue to destroy the carbon footprint and bring you characters from screen to plastic. Yeah. Anyway, special thanks to our sponsors, Sugo Toys, tonight for bringing you this episode. Now, stay tuned for a special offer later on the show. Very quick disclaimer. All the toys that are going to be unboxed on this show tonight are purchased and nothing was provided as cash for comment. We just really like the store. We support them. So they are, in turn, supporting us and providing value to our audiences and our viewers. So there you go. It's a win-win. So if you want to live vicariously through our joy and love for all things toys, make sure you grab a refreshment. Keep watching, and like everyone else with some toy channel, allow us to be those wankers. Okay, on tonight's show, we have entrees, main courses, and definitely some desserts after. Certainly a nice variety of properties. Personally, for me, Warhammer 40K and 2080 are two particular franchises that we collectively enjoy. But we're going to touch on some Dragon Ball Z as well as wrestling figures and some third-party toys. Okay, let's get stuck into it. So coming to you all the way from the suburbs of Melbourne, our Victorian contingent and the curator of Jason's reviews on toyreel. He's a tabletop gaming ambassador, certainly a purveyor of any good toy, and a bloke that will always show up in a match. Jason the Bruce. Good evening, sir.
How did you walk it into my house? How dare you? Hi, folks. Welcome to another stream. Yeah, we got some variety. Yeah, out of the two of us, guess which one has the wrestling figure? I'm sure you'll never guess.
Oh, people have to guess. Good evening, Rob Franklin, as always. Thanks for joining us. I guess people can guess who the wrestling. Actually, saying that though, I think wrestling is a very popular, brand. It's sort of a thing, right? It is a thing, right?
Something of a resurgence at the moment as well. Not that means everybody's into it, but it's definitely on the rise again.
Yeah. Good evening, Jonathan. How are you, mate? Shepperton. I hope it's nice.
Jonathan definitely wants to watch this episode.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. So, and then we'll be doing some Dragon Ball Z. Yeah.
Yep.
And also some maybe third-party stuff like some Beastboxes. Correct?
Maybe. Like I said, Jonathan wants to watch.
Yeah, he wants to, definitely. Okay, so let's talk about the show agenda, and then we can unbox certain things. I'm going to definitely open some toys here on the fly, as you can see, maybe back here.
Same.
So it's going to be a bit cumbersome, a bit messy, and you're going to hear a lot of loud popping noises. But hey, that's what it's all about. You have a drink, have a show, you have some friends, and you enjoy it. So yeah. Anyway, let's get on with the show agenda. So, Jason, you and I both massive Warhammer fans, but the reason why I picked 2080 as well is because I bought this Exquisite Toys version of Hiya that are actually now getting into the 2080 license. So that's why I feel there were some sort of similarities and parallels with both the lore anyway. So 2080
Definitely.
and Warhammer, 2080 and Warhammer 40K both resonate with fans for their dystopian, darkly sort of satire, sort of take on the future. 2080, also known for sort of Judge Dredd and other stories, presents sort of more harsh, authoritarian society that kind of critiques, I would say, contemporary politics and power structures, whereas Warhammer 40K offers a sort of more grim, dark universe where humanity is looked or sort of looked in a very weird kind of way, where it's kind of locked in an internal war or eternal war, beg your pardon, fueled by sort of all these religious zealots and brutal survival. Now, their appeal lies in, I think personally for me, the exaggerated, often bleak tone. It's sort of a mix of black humor and morally ambiguous heroes. I mean, you have all these different characters, which we will take a look at in a minute. And they both share, and this is referring to 2080 as well as 40K Warhammer, they both share sort of a fascination with very oppressive regimes, unrelenting conflict, and also an exploration of humanity's darker impulses. And that's why we picked both of them as well. Wouldn't say it's so much for Dragon Ball Z or wrestling, but hey, you know, we're going to look at those first, okay? So what I'm going to do is, let's see, what else? Jonathan has said, you are trying to convince me for more stuff, I'm sure of it. Ha, ha, ha. Yes, we are.
Well, to be fair, it's not just you. I'm pretty sure Rob Franklin at one point said he was very tempted by this particular figure, but I might be confusing who that was that said it.
Okay. Well, we'll find out. Chris, thank you for joining us. I hope you're well.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah, I hope you. It looks like you had a good trip, so very good. Hey, wow, Trevor Hopkins goes. Hopkins get wow 40K selection. Actually, well, I'm going to give you a primer. Okay, I'm going to give you a primer. So, oh, that's the comment of the night. Like, okay, yeah. So
to be fair, I don't think the US election has much on 40K. 200 AD doesn't have much on 40K.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty brutal. I mean, okay, so Warhammer 40K, also known as Warhammer 40K, is sort of like a vast and immersive science fiction franchise set in a very dystopian future, right? It was created by Games Workshop and encompasses various media, including tabletop wargaming, novels, video games, and a lot more. The universe of 40K, Warhammer, is characterized by its grim and dark atmosphere, as well as its sprawling galactic conflicts, themes that I enjoy very much in science fiction. To me, this is quintessential science fiction. I'm not saying it's the best, but it's very good. Some people love it, some people hate it. Hey, whatever is your poison. In this universe, humanity struggles for survival against countless hostile alien races, demonic entities, and its own internal corruption. Now, spanning across millennia, the 40K lore explores themes of war, sort of religious fundamentalism, the struggle for power, and the ultimate question of whether humanity's survival is worth the ultimate price. It is a rich and complex universe that captivates fans with its very deep mythology, iconic factions, and epic battles on an unimaginable scale. That is 40K. That is a primer. We will go to the comments, and then I'm going to give you a primer on 2080 as well. So yes, I'm going to say that does sound like the US election. Chris goes, yes, it was a fantastic trip. Thank you very much. Great to see. Mikey always goes, is it quintessential or quintessential? Well, I don't know. You can quintessential. Okay, so going on to Dredd, then I'll give you a bit of a primer on 2080. It's very short. Now, Dredd is a character from the British comic anthology 2080. I mean, I grew up with it. I'm sure you grew up with it, Jason. And he had his first appearance in 1977. It was created by writer John Wagner and artist Carlos Esquerra. Dredd is basically he's a law enforcement officer, a futuristic one. In the dystopian, again, future city of Mega City 1. They were going to make that TV series. I don't know why they didn't do that.
I
crime
think
is
technically it's still happening.
I hope so. So in Mega City 1, crime is rampant. He serves as a judge, jury, and executioner, empowered to dispense justice on the spot, known for all his stoic personality and his harsh methods and unwavering commitment to the law. I think Dredd embodies the series' critique of authority and state power. Sounds like the US election again. And his stories explore themes of justice, morality, and the consequences of an over-policed society. So there you go. That is the two things we're going to be looking at, plus all the more light-hearted things later on. Okay, so let's get to the comments. Carnage Creations, evening, lads. Thank you.
Evening.
How you going? So, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unbox a Primark. And if you see what's been actually released by JoyToy recently, it's the Primarks. I think there are 20 Primarks, right? And there's 18, 20. I thought
24, I think. But there's two of them that we don't know who they are.
Yeah.
Quite deliberately.
That's great. Yeah, okay. But then some are dead. So the thing is, I want to just collect the Primarks that I feel are still essentially alive. I mean, I know Sanguinus has basically been released, but he's dead. But anyway, we'll look at. But before we do, and before
I am buying Sanguinius.
I know you are. But before we do, and before we get to this bad boy, right? I just want to say we got a special deal tonight that if you watch this later on, you can get your 10% discount code. And on that note, we're going to be right back after this message.
This episode of Toy Reel is proudly brought to you by Sugo Toys.
There you go, Sugo Toys. Thank you, guys. So on that note as well, they are tonight being very, very kind and providing us a special 10% discount coupon. So if you're watching this episode, make sure you key in Toy Reel and you'll enjoy 10% off site-wide on both pre-orders and in-stock items, but excludes special order products, for example, like wallet credit and mystery boxes. So the offer ends on the 31st. So you've got plenty of time, and it's limited to one redemption per user. So make sure you check it out. I'm going to leave that little ticker box scrolling so you can check it out. But this guy. Now, what should I do? I probably should unbox him now, shouldn't I?
Yes. That's why you got him.
Okay. So before I unbox him, I want to maybe, like I said, be, because we're here about sharing lore. I mean, we love as much as we love our toys, we love our lore as well, right? So in a way, we're sort of like the gateway to try and tempt people to buy toys and get into a particular line. For example,
us,
JoyToy, yes, Mythic Legions, etc. So many other different things. How could you? So before we do that, I want to share, I think, a video that for me, it went viral. Maybe you want to discuss it before we actually show it to people.
So when this was being developed, there was only one animation that had ever really been done for 40K, and it wasn't done very well. Like, the animation was very nice, but it wasn't very faithful to the actual lore. And as a result, it kind of did okay. It did well enough that they wanted to get more done, but it wasn't faithful enough that the fans actually appreciated it. As a response, not specifically to that, but the fact that nothing seemed to come of it, there was a particular set of fans that decided that they were going to do something. Somewhat, at the time, not really appreciated by Games Workshop. More on that in a second. But they started to do the Astartes series. And I could be slightly wrong on this, but I think it was just one guy that did what you're about to see. As a result of what you're about to see, he got employed by Games Workshop to do stuff for them.
Unbelievable.
Very good.
Yeah. Okay. So before we put that on, evening, and also Trevor, hey, and KJ, I think KJ.
Hey.
Ganaway, how are you going? Thanks for joining us. And also, yes, definitely, Robutus or Robuto. Gilliman.
This is
Robert
somebody that knows who the
Gilliman.
character is.
Robert Gurley, man, I like it. Hey, keep on collecting. How you going? Evening, guys. I recognize that tee that Jason is wearing, and I may own one myself. There you go. Very cool. Jono, Sugo, a great place to buy from. Always had great experiences from them online and in person. Are we going to Collecticon on Sunday? No, we are not. We're not doing Minto. We find Minto is just a bit further for us. I mean, Penrith is far, but anyway, yeah. But I hope
It's
you have
even further for me.
Correct. Well, you're all the way in Victoria, so okay, cool.
Just on a
So
side
what
note, KJ, you'll like the first thing that I'm showing off later.
Yeah. There you go. Sure do. I'm a 40K guy from second and third edition. There you go. Very good. Excellent. I'm glad we got some 40K fans. That's fantastic. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you this. To me, was very profound because it made a massive impression on me. And it really pulled me more into the 40K lore. But just seeing this and seeing, this is one guy doing it. And it's very, very impressive. And I want to share it with you guys. And then we'll definitely we'll tuck straight into Robuto. Okay. So let's check this out. Stand by. I'm going to share screen with you guys. And we're going to look at the Astartes project. And we're going to start this and play.
Just takes a second to load.
How amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. Like the fact that was done essentially by one person is
Unbelievable. Yeah.
And like I said, that this project, when he first started it, Games Workshop weren't really very happy that it was being done. But this, along with a few other things, basically, like he ended up getting hired by them when they decided to launch their own streaming service.
Crazy.
Which is a service I haven't checked out, but it is there.
So that's part of the reason why I think the 40K lore and the Warhammer stuff is just astounding. In terms of I think the character depth, how deep it goes as far as, the deep cut stuff is concerned. And I'm sure there's a lot of hardcore guys here as well. We got a lot of comments. So Adam, thank you for joining us. Mikey goes, Merry Christmas. And then he goes, Sup, Michael. Adonis, he's doing well. And Adam was asking, which character does Henry Cavill in the Warhammer
We
play?
don't know yet. I can tell you what he plays as far as the game is concerned. He plays the Custodes, but we don't know what he's playing as far as whether it's a TV show or whatever that ends up being at this stage. It hasn't been announced.
There would be a sick live action for sure, and definitely Adam says yes, I have full faith in him. Particularly if you're referring to the person that's probably gonna, I don't know, are you talking about Henry Cavill or are you talking about Superman? That's really well done. It is really well done, Jonathan. So as I said, there's a lot of stuff. There's books, there's lore, there's tons of data that you can read up. You can play the tabletop game, you can collect JoyToy, and that's what we've done. So ladies and gents, I present to you now this guy. So this is my recent acquisition, and part of the reason why I'm getting this Primarch more so, I think, is I need someone to, I suppose, look after and foster and lead the troops with all my blueberries. So when we refer to blueberries or Smurfs, we're talking about the Ultramarines, because those are that's the poster child of the Warhammer franchise, 40K.
Much to the chagrin of 40K fans.
Of course. And I'm not saying that, you have to go and buy. So I wasn't going to even worry about getting all these guys, but I had to have this guy when he came out. I mean, look at that. What I'm going to do is turn this around. And while I'm doing this, I'm just going to do a 360. I'm going to basically tell people, essentially, what a Primarch.
Yep. We seem to have lost Clinton.
Yeah, here we are. So, there we go. Look at that. This, I mean, as a figure, it's a big figure compared to a standard size Marine. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to put the Primarch there, and then I'm going to take a version 1 of an Ultramarine that was first released. And mind you, all these are purchased from Sugo, so you can buy them at Sugo. Okay, just look at the difference of a Primarch and, let's say, an Ultramarine. And Ultramarines are actually meant to be massive anyway, right?
That's what I was about to say. Yeah.
Yeah, they're meant to be huge. So what is a Primarch? Okay. The Primarchs in Warhammer 40K are like 20 genetically engineered superhuman sons of the Emperor of Mankind, okay, created to sort of lead this space marine legions during the Great Crusade to somewhat reunite humanity. Now, each Primarch possesses incredible physical and mental abilities, embodying sort of like different aspects of warfare, leadership, and personality. However, due to the machinations, the machinations of the Chaos Gods, the Primarchs kind of were scattered across the galaxy as infants, and then some remain loyal to the Emperor, while others kind of turned traitor during what we now know as the Horus Heresy. Then eventually leading to a galaxy-wide civil war that shaped the future of the Imperium. So this guy here is Robuto or Robert, Girly Man, however you want to call it, but you would pronounce
it Guilliman, but people call him Girly Man because people are people.
Yeah, Guilliman. So he is the Primarch. This guy here is the Primarch of the Ultramarines Legion, and you can see here there isn't actually. So I'm going to get back to the second camera. This guy here, so he's the Primarch, and he is an Ultramarine, and he's the Primarch of the Ultramarines Legion, particularly in this case the Blueberries, and one of the most I would say tactical and disciplined of the Emperor's sons. Known for his kind of exceptional strategic brilliance, I would say, and leadership. Guilliman created, beg your pardon, the Empire, and let me see if I can pronounce this correctly. The Empire of Ultramar, correct? A prosperous and a very well governed realm. Now, during the Horus Heresy, he remained sort of very loyal to the Emperor, fighting against the traitor legions. Then, after the heresy, Guilliman actually authored, when I say authored, and that's probably lack of a better word, the Codex Astartes, a sort of foundational military doctrine that reconstructed the Space Marines into what I would say would be smaller, more flexible chapters. So in the current timeline, Guilliman was resurrected in the 41st millennium and now serves as the Lord Commander of the Imperium, leading its defense against all its mounting threats. So there you go. That is the Primarch. That's the first version. And then later on, what we're going to do is also look at the third version. So I also went out and bought more. And as you know, more people that know me well know that I like army building. So I actually am amassing quite a nice collection of Ultramarines, particularly the blue ones. So there you go. That's the Primarch. That's Robuto. And just so you can see here, there is different things. The figure comes obviously in this armor suit already. So like I said, you can buy this. I'm going to pull up the box. So that's the box art back here. And it comes like that, but it comes with a plethora of different things. I would say not fully jam-packed with accessories, but I think realistic enough, particularly that's more source material accurate, so very accurate to the source material. And as you can see with his armor, he's got the armor of fate, which is basically a masterwork artificer suit, if that's correct. That's what is it called, an artificer suit? Is that what it is, Jason? It is, right? It was crafted. Yeah. The Archmagos Belsurias cowl or call. It includes life support systems that kind of helped revive him and sort of enhance his combat abilities as well. He's got the Empress sword, so you can see he comes with the Empress sword. I can show that to you. Flaming Empress sword. A relic weapon originally sort of wielded by the Emperor. It burns with psychic power capable of cutting through any foe, especially those tainted by chaos. You got the Hand of Dominion, which I think he's on there. It's on his left hand. There we go. Yep, Hand of Dominion's over here. A massive power gauntlet capable of crushing enemies and equipped with a built-in bolter for ranged combat. He's got a ton. If I'm going to turn that again, I'm turn that on. He's got a ton of Ultramarines heraldry. So all the markings and all the like I said, the see if I can just give you a bit of a 360 with distinctive sort of symbols, blue and gold color schemes representing the ultimate Ultramarine Legion as well. And then the mantle of Ultramar is a cloak that he uses, worn by Guilliman, symbolizing the authority and legacy as the leader of the Ultramar and his role in the Imperium as well. So all up, that's who he is. Very nice, very beautiful figure. You got different head portraits. In fact, you got two, beg your pardon. You got the masked one, helmeted. Then you also have his sort of unmasked, unhelmeted head. Again, we have another fist here. I would assume that you can interchange that, and a standard grappling hand, and then also a closed fist. So not a lot of accessories. I'm going to put the accessories up here. So you got, again, the sword, you got the portrait, you got a couple of hands here as well. So that's the Primarch, and something that I've wanted to get, and I'm super happy with it. So if you're collecting, like I said, your blueberries or your Smurfs, you need someone to lead your Legion of Ultramarines. So there you go. Yeah. Speaking of swords, by the way, Adam goes, nice sword. You love your swords, don't you, Adam? Hey, Jamie, how are you going? Nice of you to join us. Thank you for tuning in. And Jonathan, it is really an impressive looking figure. It certainly is. So there you go. What are your thoughts, Jason?
Look, it's an outstanding figure. It really is. For context, Space Marines, their height tends to change depending on, because lore tends to evolve and change over time, but it's anywhere between 7'6" to 8 foot, depending on who's writing at the time. And then he is, Lord knows how much taller again. Primarch's heights specifically seem to be harder to come across. I was trying to do a bit of a search while you were talking, and I found one source that said 8'6", but I don't think that's right. There's no way he's that short. But they are, like, Space Marines are already superhuman, and then Primarchs put them to shame. The Space Marines are essentially made from the gene seed of their Primarch. So
yes,
the Primarchs are the source of the Space Marines, essentially, or at least what's left of them.
That's it. Cool. Yeah, so there you go. I mean, look at that. Gorgeous.
Certainly a lot more impressive than the 32 to 40 mil height that the figures normally are.
Yep. And if you want to buy this or pre-order this, it is available at Sugo Toys. So make sure you check it out. And on that note, I want to quickly give them a massive shout out, and we'll be right back.
This episode of Toy Reel is proudly brought to you by Sugo Toys.
Okay, we are going to sort of digress slightly, and we'll come back to 40K Warhammer. But I want us to check out what Jason has got. What have you got, Jace?
So, I have a wrestling figure. I'm starting with a wrestling figure, mainly because this is not the sort of thing that we talk about very often. I've been into wrestling for pretty much most of my life, as has KJ, which is why I gave the shout out to KJ earlier that the first thing I was showing off would be something she'd be interested in. This is a character called Wardlow. I will give you close-ups of him in a moment. He wrestles for a company called All Elite Wrestling. They were founded in 2019? Yeah, 2019 by a gentleman by the name of Tony Khan, intending to be an alternative for what was essentially the only real company in town, which is the WWE that most people have heard of, and pretty much hit the market with a bang. Their history kind of even goes further back than that. There was a conversation online with a news source called Dave Meltzer, where somebody was asking him how long it would be until a smaller company could actually fill out a proper stadium. And he made a remark, something along the lines of, I don't think anybody out there could fill 10,000 seats at this point. And then a gentleman by the name of Cody Rhodes turned around and said, I'll take that bet. And that bet was an actual bet. And they sold out those 10,000 seats in some stupidly short amount of time. The actual company, so that show ended up being called All In. And All Elite Wrestling's first show was Double or Nothing, because they decided to do Double or Nothing on the bet to see how it could go. And literally All Elite Wrestling came out of it. If I change my view, this is the figure in question. So this is a gentleman by the name of Wardlow. I've just kind of basically posed him here. There is a picture that I have ready to share there, Clinton, if you can put it up on screen for me.
Sure.
Just because I kind of want to give an idea of just how much detail these figures actually have. Now, granted, in the picture I've selected, he is smiling and he's very clearly shouting at whoever in this particular example. But look at the example of what he's wearing and how close that actually is to what he's wearing in the image itself. It's insane detail. Now, we kind of, when it comes to comic book figures and stuff, we kind of go all about detail and stuff. Same with Transformers and stuff. But when you're trying to do that with a real person, it really is next level again. Price mark on these tends to be around that Marvel Legends price, so it's between $30 and $40. It's a fairly average priced figure. This particular one is coming with an alternate head. These punching fists are actually the accessory. He comes with just a standard loose. It almost looks like a gripping hand, but he has nothing to hold. Not in this packaging, at least, anyway. The wrist here actually is articulated. Articulation on these is actually really good. There's actually a bit of rotation here in the mid-torso. There's an ab crunch as well. They can actually pop off. So if you wanted to kind of customize them, you can very easily. They can't quite do the splits, but it's not bad for the sort of figure that it is. Double jointed knee is really, really nice. That pad is actually over the top of the outfit. Boot swivels at the top of the boot, which is a nice touch. And then, of course, you got your ankle as well. It doesn't go side to side, so you are a bit limited there. But posability-wise on these things is phenomenal. When they entered the market, they pretty much went straight for as high as they could, really. And they've done really well. Because you're looking at real-life people here, this has been done with a 3D scan, which for a long time was considered height of technology when it came to this sort of stuff. There's a few companies that have kind of started moving away from this now and going back to more the artist renders, because 3D scanning of faces isn't necessarily always as it could be, just because you also have to rely on the painting, and sometimes to get a painting. Mikey, these are official. If you're talking about mine, if you're talking about what Clinton was showing off, that's official as well. But yeah, if the painting doesn't match up, then it doesn't necessarily always look right. McFarlane really misses the mark on realism. That can be a problem at times. I feel McFarlane kind of have more strength in the comic style than they do in the photorealism, for sure. If I was to point out anything as far as the Jazzwares figures is concerned, they do struggle on the female figures. There's maybe, out of all of them that they've released, there's maybe one that I feel is probably actually accurate. Not that any of them are shockingly bad anymore, but some of the early ones in the females were really not good. Just all comes down to how well you can actually get it to look. Like I said, 3D scanning is only kind of part of the story with this. Chris and I both bought these at the same time. Chris came across this, and we actually bought these for, I think it was $12, which is just insane. Like, absolutely insane. And again, detail on this, like, light doesn't show it off very well, but it actually says Wardlow. And yes, Jazzwares is the company that does them, but they are officially licensed. It's just magnificent, especially when you compare it to that photo, because that's literally the outfit that he's wearing in that photo that I was showing. I just thought it was something worth looking at. I know wrestling tends to be one of those things that people either really, really love or really don't understand it. All I would say is, I mean, you don't have to like it. It's just supposed to be entertaining. Nobody actually believes that it's real unless you're like 5 years old or something. Like, everybody knows that it's not real. So like the whole wrestling is fake thing. Like, yes, we know that's kind of
there's the market for it, right? There's a market for it. People love
it's literally the point. It's the UFC, but you can do more because it doesn't have to be real. Also, half of the UFC fights are boring because that's what fighting is half the time. It's like boxing. Half of boxing is boring too.
Yeah, that's good. So I gather you collect a lot of wrestling figures in general.
Not a lot. I actually bought the first 3 waves of this. And I was early on, my decision was, I'm going to buy them all. And it very quickly became too large. And I started being a little bit more picky. I can't really afford to buy a lot of them. just because if I was to buy them everything I wanted, I don't have the space for it. I don't have the space for half of the stuff I own as it is. I do also have this one that I'm not opening, but it's just another example of what you can get. So this is Cody Rhodes that now works for WWE, and this is Dustin Rhodes, probably better known as Gold Dust. Both of these, this are brothers that are the sons of Dusty Rhodes. So Dustin, Dusty. This is commemorating a match that they had at that Double or Nothing show that I mentioned, where they did quite literally get this bloody. It got really, and all of this blood comes from this gentleman. He kind of went a little bit deep with the cut, and it was everywhere. It's probably the best match I've ever seen, as far as wrestling is concerned. And I don't think that's much of a hot take.
Very cool.
There definitely will be people that fight with me over that, but
Robert was saying, don't go down the rabbit hole because you won't stop and it will take over your house. Trust me.
Yeah, I've seen what some collections are like. Matthew Cardona, who I've mentioned before, Matt Cardona's collection is insane. I'm never going to try to be that.
Yep.
That is another wrestler, just for those that don't know. But yep, that's my first one.
Cool. Very nice. All right. Let's hit something else now. Let's go back to 40K, eh? What do you reckon? So just quickly, I wanna tell you guys, if the original Astarte stuff that you saw before and also anything else, and you are thinking about getting the 40K, with the JoyToy stuff, you might want to think about how you want to army build, and I would highly recommend that you look at the newer versions. Actually, sorry, no, I disagree. So what is my conundrum? So with especially the Space Marines, particularly if you're building legions, you got the Blood Angels, you got the Imperial Fists, you have what else? The Salamanders, you got there's all these different Ultramarines you can build, right? But if you wanted to go the blue ones, I think when they originally released the first Space Marines or the version 1s, then they released, I think, the Incursors and the Infiltrators. And as the versions were going, all the bucks, particularly with the design of the figure itself, were changing quite rapidly. So I think what JoyToy were doing they were kind of going, "Nah, this is working. This isn't working." They were working out proportions, and they were trying to say, "Okay, how can we redefine and sort of improve these figures a bit?" So what I did was I bought the initial lot where they had 4 of these. I'm going to change camera angles in a minute. They had 4 of these, and they all had unmasked heads as well as helmeted heads. And the work on them, particularly with the dry brushing and the shading and the armor, look very patina. They look like we're better, somewhat battle worn. And then they released version 2 with a different thing where there was a bit of a lot of the articulation was actually quite inhibited, so you couldn't move your joints up, not as well as articulated as the first versions. Saying that, the first versions always had problems of loose joints and just joints essentially falling off. And I think what JoyToy have done is that they've continued to improve, and I like companies that do that. And I think the appeal for me now, particularly with a lot of the Chinese companies that are coming up, or third-party company, is that they are giving official licensed companies a run for their money. It's incredible. And saying that, though, JoyToy is officially licensed, right, with Warhammer. So they are, right?
And in my opinion, the best of the 3 that were doing them too.
Yes, I disagreed with myself. Yeah. Sorry, Jason. I just had to put that comment up because he's always going to point out.
Oh, that's good.
So what I did was I had V1s, V2s, and then recently they released version 3s, which I went out and bought not 2, not 3, and everything falls off the desk. No problem, as usual. But
Just for the record, Clinton definitely doesn't have a problem, but he's now bought 3 different versions of the same figures.
Yes, because if you want to army build, that's the way to do it. So I'm just
staring.
So this is the first version, right? This is the first. Oh, sorry, this is the third version. So in terms of them, they have a different paint scheme. It's a lot. It feels like it's a lot more mass produced. So I would highly recommend you go out and buy these, because these are probably the best and probably new improved intercessors if you want to collect intercessors and if you want to collect Space Marines.
Have you looked at them on the inside yet?
Inside, as in the figure?
The actual figure, yeah.
Well, I've actually already unboxed one. So I've got this guy here.
Okay.
Cool. And that is the new Space Marine. So that's very nice in terms of a version of itself. And you know, in the in sort of in the 40K Warhammer sort of universe, these are like, and I'll say it again, Michael, quintessential blueberries. Why do people hate it, Jason?
It's anything that is the poster boy for anything gets automatic hatred. It's just people being predictable.
Right. Okay. So I also want to say that there are versions coming out now, and I want to share screen really quickly, that you could essentially buy these. And there was a company called Allboy CCTS that were making custom heads. Now, some of the heroes of the chapter, which they released, had what I thought were versions of Titus. So if anyone is familiar with Warhammer, Titus, and I'll show you a version actually here quickly. Now, if anyone remember McFarlane did their larger versions, 6-inch versions of Warhammer, right? And here you can see a large version of an Ultramarine Intercessor. And I've actually got a custom head here of Titus. Also, the same company that I bought the custom head for, I took the same Intercessor. I modded some of these and gave them thigh cuts. But do you recognize this guy, Jason? Who do you think this guy is? Look at his head.
You'll need to go full screen.
I need to go full screen? Okay, I'll go full screen.
Is it the guy from the Space Marine game?
It is. So it's Titus and Todonus from the Space Marine game. So this guy over here, I'm going to take him away so that at least we have... There we go.
Yeah.
Right?
Because he was stealing all of the focus from the camera.
Correct. So these were the McFarlane versions. And this was pre-COVID, I think. I'm pretty sure. Maybe even during COVID. So,
yep.
McFarlane only offered these. No other person did the license. I think JoyToy came on and went, hey, we're making really cool toys. I literally then stopped collecting all the 6-inch stuff. Takes up a ton of room. But then JoyToy just went on a roll, and by now I think they have literally almost every chapter, every faction coming out at such an alarming rate. It's ridiculous.
The first company to do action figures for Warhammer was Bandai, and because of the price of them, I have nothing further to say.
Yeah,
they were offensive.
Actually, sorry, I digress quickly. Robert Vella, he says, I've got a little, check out my Instagram collection. So we got to check that out. Ooh. So there you go. Jonathan, buying multiple versions of a character never happens, especially in Transformers collections. There you go. You're right. Unless you're doing Sharkticons and Alicons. And what else that you can collect plenty of, right? Mikey was saying, wow, outstanding collection. It's like a museum. We've got to check out your collection, Robert. So definitely one day we may feature you on the channel. Come to your house, check out your collection. Okay, going back to these guys. So then I decided to stop and decided to go back to JoyToy and collect the smaller 4-inch toys. And there you go. So therefore now I've decided that these guys will take the mantle, and I'll start building my little Smurf Legion or blueberries, whatever you want to call them. I highly recommend these. And on that note, if you want to buy any of these, go to... So I want to share screen real quick. I want to show you that you can actually buy the JoyToy versions of it now. And so Sugo have there's actually these new ones coming out based again on the Space Marine 2 Ultramarines game. This is Lieutenant Titus, and alongside with that, they also have Charon as well as Gadriel. So there's 3 in this supposed new sort of release after the Space Marine 2 game. So there you go. Not bad. You can see here all 3 of them together. Very cool. And then you can
definitely looks good.
And you can see the unmasked heads here as well. So you can see Titus in the middle. Now, saying that, right? I'm gonna buy. I already have these on pre-order. So, like I said, for those of you guys who are watching tonight, use your 10% discount code toyreel. Go and pre-order if you want it to, if you want these figures. But I also, because I bought these, I'm actually going to get a custom head. So I'm buying a custom head from this. Let's have a look here. I'm getting a custom head from these guys here. There we go. See if we can see that guy there. So this guy is All Boy CTTS. He's based in Thailand. He was the guy that essentially made and sculpted and customized and painted this 6-inch version of Titus. Now, what you see on screen is going to be the version for all the JoyToy 4-inch stuff. So that is incredible. Yeah. So it literally is just a 1/18 scale version of this guy over here. Right? So that's something that definitely is on the cards. There you go. Cool. So I highly recommend it. Get your codes. You can see on the ticket box below. And if you want to get a custom head for your JoyToy Ultramarines and you want to make your own Titus figure, or if you want to buy a Titus figure, you can either buy a custom head, put it on a normal Ultramarine body like this one, which is a V3, okay, or buy the Titus figure himself that's currently on pre-order. So there you go. That's for the Space Marines. Coolio.
If you're not a Blueberry fan or a Smurf fan and you're looking for other recommendations, the Lionel Johnson figure is absolutely outstanding, and I would argue has even more character than the Robert Gilliman one does. Sanguinius is on the way. That is on pre-order at the moment, and it looks like it's going to be phenomenal. He has this glorious set of wings. That's the Primarch of the best faction, the Blood Angels. There's no bias there at all. It's just fact. If you like the larger ones, those are the 2 that I'd be looking at if you're not a Blueberry fan. Just a bit of info out there.
Cool. All right. What have we got now with you? So let's look at the next thing. Okay. And this stuff, I mean, I love Figure Arts Bandai. Big fan. Available at Sugo Toys. Show us.
This is the first from Sugo Arts, from SH Figure Arts I have ever bought. And it's Vegeta. There's a couple of members of our community that has been teasing me with these figures and talking about how good they are for a long time. And I can't remember who said it earlier. I think it was Robert Vella was saying about how don't start, because if you don't start, you won't stop. That's the large reason of why I've been trying to fight my temptation on this. This came up at a decent price on pre-order, and I just went, fine. I only need one. If I'm going to get one, it'll be Vegeta. And this is Vegeta from when he first goes Super Saiyan and destroys Android 17, whichever one it is. I don't remember. The clown one. And like I said, I've never owned an SH Figure Arts toy at all. So this is quite literally the first time I'm ever looking at one. I've always heard good things about their articulation and stuff. I love the fact that they come with crossed arms, especially for a character like Vegeta that's always grumpy. I kind of find this really weird mainly because I've never seen it before. With the way that their hair works, this makes a lot of sense. But again, I've never really done it before, so this is new for me. But let's start with the main man. Yeah, I kind of felt like this was going to make a lot of sense. There is another version of this that I think was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive or something, where the hair is see-through or something. I may be wrong as to where the version comes from. Nice butterfly joint here, which is nice. Shoulders are nice. Well, I'm going in blind on this. So for those of you that is like, yeah, I know this is all really obvious stuff. I have never played with one of these before. I just
Well, that's
haven't.
the joy, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the joy of unboxing a new toy and just seeing how it feels in your hand, how it's made. I know, like I said, you never can go wrong with Bandai Figure Arts. That's always top-notch stuff.
The problem with me having this now is I already want to get a Piccolo as well.
Oh, dear.
They do this as well. This is something that Jazzwares also does, where they put the clear plastic in to protect the paint from scratching in the box. Some people seem to hate that. I don't quite understand the hate. I think it's a really smart idea. I mean, it maybe isn't great for the environment, but it prevents warranty issues, right? So why not? That's some really nice articulation there in that ab crunch. This is really, really impressive. Not quite the splits. That's quite nice. You don't end up with that gap that you quite frequently get when you're splitting the legs on action figures. Because if I do that on Wardlow, he starts developing a gap there, which is not that bad, but you can definitely see the holes. I'm actually curious who does the splits better. I think they're about the same, which is quite impressive, really, because getting legs on a larger figure to split is a lot easier, right? Something being smaller kind of restricts it.
Yeah. Is there like a drop-down hip or something? No? You'd think there would be like a little drop-down hip, but obviously not.
If there is, then I haven't found it.
I don't know. John will probably be the guy to ask because he has a ton of these. No? I don't think so. Some figures do have like a little drop-down hip, particularly the thighs. One of those Dragon Ball figures being the Piccolo you want it's a really great figure. You should get it.
And I'm pretty sure that Jonathan knows which one I want too, because I mentioned it the other night. It's the Proud Namekian. So my next question is, how does this come off? Oh, that's really easy. Nice chunky joint, so there's no real threat of that breaking. And now this is a completely new figure. I mean, look, it's just an alien, right? So we've got two eyes, a really weird looking nose and mouth. We want
a different like face plate on. Yeah.
Yeah. We want this one. And it's the wrong hands. I don't care. But we need to do this so we can go final flash. It's the wrong hands. I don't care. I really like this. This might have been a mistake. I might want more of these now. Sugo's going to get money from me.
Oh, dear.
It's not quite good, boy. I pre-ordered this quite a while. I was waiting for this for quite a while. And then it kind of shipped unexpectedly. I'd almost forgotten about it, actually, and it shipped unexpectedly last week. And I'm like, oh, it's finally on the way. The metallic hair is something that should feel weird, right? Because you don't generally see it in action figures. But for Super Saiyan, it makes a lot of sense because the hair's supposed to glow, right? And short of putting LEDs in everything and having it see-through, that's probably the best way to actually show that off.
Why not?
Yeah. I'm really impressed. Like I said, I've never actually played with one of these before, so this is new for me. So the neck's a little bit. The neck doesn't really do a lot. It does a little bit. He can rock out. A little bit of a gap there, which I think is just.
Can you actually bring the figure more in the center of the frame, because it's not in the center of the frame. Thank you. Great. My OCD part. Pen-chan.
The detail on the face is really, really nice. Like the line work on the face almost makes it look like he doesn't have a nose. He does have a nose, but it's just that from the front on, just because of how it's just the way the light is. It kind of washes the nose out just a little bit. Really, really nice detail.
Hello, Pen. How are you going? It's been a
Hey,
while.
Pen.
Hope you're well.
So that's the original face. Because it's Vegeta, who needs to have a smirk. And that's, I'm going to say relaxed Vegeta, but only because that's that's as close to relaxed as Vegeta ever gets. Is a sour look on his face. And I'm sure people have seen all of these. So these are the final flash hands. These are the hands that he should be wearing. Looks like it's a simple ball joint. I'm not entirely sure why Vegeta has a thumbs up hand. I don't know if I've ever seen Vegeta use a thumbs up. Maybe it's meant to be thumbs down, but I don't think I've ever seen him do that either. A couple of grabby hands. Like he's charging up ki or something. Honestly, yeah, I really like this. I'm really impressed.
Nice. Very cool. So you would buy more?
No, I refuse to buy more. Yeah, I kind of want a Piccolo.
Yeah. Ask Jono. He's the enabler. Cool.
I'll buy a Piccolo. I'll buy a Piccolo if Jono buys some Beastboxes.
Well, you're about to tempt him with more Beastboxes right after this segment. So if you do want to buy anything, you can always check these guys out.
This episode of Toy Reel is proudly brought to you by Sugo Toys.
Buy them all. Anyway, Jono was saying it's not thumbs up. He points to himself with his thumb talking to the androids from memory, but he thumbs down.
Yes, you're right.
There you go. Okay, Mega City 1 2000 AD. I mean, this guy. We're going to look at this guy. For those of you guys that are in 2080, I remember having a chat with some of the guys the other night in the chat, and they were fans. They were fans of 2080. Now, Hiya Toys has finally come out with a 1/12 scale version. We've had 1/18 scale, 3 3/4 inch, and I think Rebellion Publishing are using Hiya Toys. And on that note, a Rebellion, it's actually owned by a guy called Jason Kingsley. In fact, he has a YouTube channel called Modern History TV. Just a bit of trivia for you. He's obviously a very wealthy man. He owns a publishing company. He's a big 2080 fan, so he bought that company basically. He lives his life on several acres of the farm and just does YouTube videos. Saying that, I have him to thank for partnering with Hiya Toys and eventually making something like this. I've had several versions of 1/12 scale Dredd. 3A brought them out, did the Dark Judges, did, obviously Dredd himself. I'll show you those versions and we can compare them and see how this Exquisite Toys version of Hiya Toys compares to those other two versions. And the second version I'm making reference to is by a company called Mezco. So Mezco also brought out the 1/12 scale figure. Now, for me, I'm a big, like I said, a big Dredd fan. So the problem I had initially with all the other figures is that they used a false type of faux leather, and it would start flaking. In fact, on some of the Dark Knight Return stuff, particularly with the Mutant Leader, I had those issues. So I'm hoping that they've done something about that, and now we have this bad boy. So this was, you can pick these up at Sugo Toys. I pre-ordered mine, and I finally got this guy. So before I get him off, you can see, a lot. I don't know whether you agree with this, Jason, but I think packaging, artwork, how you present the toy is very important, and it adds a tremendous amount of value to someone buying something. I like to see a very nice box and artwork on the actual toy that you're buying. It just feels a bit more premium. It feels like people actually care, and that's what you're paying good money for it.
Especially if it's a premium, especially if it's a premium toy. Yes, I mean, if you're buying something at the cheaper ends, then hey, maybe it's not as big a deal. It still needs to look pretty though.
Yeah.
But if you're buying something that's premium, it needs to feel premium.
Yeah. I mean, at the time, Mezco had these guys, right? And this felt really nice too. It felt very premium. But there were, like I said, problems with the sort of false leather flaking. So far, touch wood, I haven't had any problems with this flaking off. And also it had these things where you could literally remove the pauldrons and they're magnetized. How cool is that, right? So that I have to give Mezco. Cool. Yeah, that I have to give Mezco. Like as in here, you'll see it can magnetize. And then straight after they did it, a company called ThreeA, not 30. They brought these guys out. This one was a bit, how are you going? Can you see it's quite loose? And this was sort of I think this was more on the Bolin art, inspired by the Bolin stuff. And these pauldrons here, I think, are on ball joints as opposed to the magnetized stuff that you had on Mezco. This felt very, very flimsy, didn't feel like a robust, solid toy. The faux leather actually holds up, so you're not getting any flaking on it, so that's okay. But again, very hard to stand. So Mezco and 3A, right? We're going to find out if this guy is worth the coin, okay? So I'm going to take him, let's take him out of his cardboard prison. Again, very nice. I'm going to put these guys away. Very nice presentation for art. You can see there, gorgeous, right? Quite simple around the sides and nothing on the back. And it says here, Hiya Toys. That's the logo. So I'm going to slowly lift the box up. Ooh, okay, straight away. Look at the way it presents, quite nice. A lot of box and a lot of space being utilized, almost to the point where they could have actually, okay, and here's my thing. I'm in corporate marketing, right? So I know exactly how to give perceived value and give people more value. And the thing is, you really didn't have to fit all those accessories and all those figures into the size of this box, but they did it, which is really cool. Your Mezco boxes come in a smaller footprint. Jonathan has a comment. I think the opposite to Jason, most premium end stuff, you're going to buy it regardless of what the packet looks like, unless you are mint in box collector. But at the lower end, you're more likely to get the more casual fan if the packet looks cool, to draw that customer into buying the figure. But this last bit of logic still could work at the high end as well. Yeah, correct. But presentation is key. Presentation is everything. Okay. A lot of box spaces. Sorry, beg your pardon. A lot of box space for a lot of accessories, but a small figure. Okay, this is now the moment of truth. Let's find out. I want to actually take the figure out and hold him in my hand. So I want to see what it's going to be like just to have him in hand compared to, and how comparable he is to the other figures as well. So I'm going to put the accessories or the bottom of the box down for now. I'm not so fussed on the accessories. I want to see the actual figure itself. And the thing about these guys is that you got to be really careful when you're opening these clamshells because they this goes everywhere. Okay, moment of truth. Wow, pretty cool. So far we have 3 different heads. So as in we got 3 separate portraits. We got 6 interchangeable hands, excluding the ones ready on the body, with a baton. We got the the lawgiver. We got a spray can and then another version of the lawgiver, as well as some firing effects. We know we're always going to get accessories, but the question is, how good is this figure compared to what I currently already have? So I'm going to try and pull them out gently. Okay, moment of truth. Let's have a look. Smells good. That's always a good start. Okay, so far so good. It feels already a lot heavier. The joints are way more stiff. It doesn't flop. It looks really good. They're still using the same sort of soft faux sort of leather, the fake leather stuff, which I was hoping was going to be a bit more of a fabric rather than the leathered stuff. And I don't think it always would necessarily translate very well. It feels very much like if I can say this, a cross or a bastard child of both the 3A and the Mezco version. So it feels certainly like the quality of a Mezco, but it has some sculpts and some sort of more angular shapes of the 3A as well. So all these Judge Dredd figures are based off different artists, for example, whether it's a Squarer or Bolan, etc., etc. So Simon Beasley was one of my favorite artists when it came to Judge Dredd, but this looks pretty good. So I'm going to change angles. I'm going to put them side by side. So we got this guy. Let's see if I can prop him up. So we got this guy here, and he is the Hiya Toys version. We have the Mezco version. And then we have the 3A version here. I don't know. What do you think, Jay's just looking at the screen?
Just looking at the screen, I definitely prefer the painting of the new one. The gold it seems to have the impressive gold like the Mezco one, but the articulation of the previous one, I think the choice of green is a much better one because the darker green on the other one kind of gets lost in the black a little bit. Mm-hmm. Is that visor shiny, or is that shininess painted on?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So the shine on this one, you're talking about the Hiya Toys one?
Yes.
It's actually painted on.
It is. Okay. I thought it was, but I thought it could have been a trick of the eyes.
No, it's painted on. And it's again them trying to nail make it source accurate in terms of the comics as well. If you look at the Mezco version, they also had the painted reflections on it, which is nice. I am not sure if this is a ball joint, so I'm not going to even try and attempt to move this around. But yeah, I got to say, would I buy something like that again? It feels like I have 3 separate versions now of Dredd. And frankly, I was hoping that this was going to be the guy. It probably might be a good balance between the Mezco and the 3A. So is it worth your money? At the time, when you are paying exorbitant amount of money for the Mezco in the aftermarket and trying to outsource one of the 3As, this would be the best time to get into a 1/12 scale Dredd. And I highly recommend that. As far as accessories are concerned, you have, like I said, 3 separate portraits. You got 6 interchangeable hands, and you have all the weapons, and you also have blast effects. Not a lot that's comparable to any of the accessories that you have got with both 3A or also Mezco. You had a few other things. Now, these 3 scale well together, which means now you can also use the Hiya Toys one on the Lawmaster, whether it's be the 3A Lawmaster or the Mezco Lawmaster. I'm hoping that leather holds up, and also it's not going to flake off, like I said, with some of my other Mezco figures as well. Jonathan, with my limited knowledge of Dredd, I like the middle, right, then left. There you go. So
I would
your
agree
middle-
with that.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
So you're
hang
saying
on.
you're-
No. I prefer the middle, then screen left, screen right, because I prefer the shoulder pauldron that the middle one and the older one has. I don't like the one from the other art style. That's just a personal aesthetics thing.
Yep. I'm going to try and faff around with this and show you the Lawgiver.
Nice.
It's nice. We have a very cool accessory here, which is really let me see if I can get hold of this. It's a little fucking spray can. Mace.
I mean, that's got to go in the hand of the person that he's arresting, right?
Correct. No. This is a thing. It's a deterrent, dude. You spray that shit into the eyes of the peeps that he's about to arrest or throw in the lockup, in the queue. That's what they call it. And again, separate. So he's got a. I'm going to pull these out. See, they're a bit hard to pull out at the moment. But again, like I said, 3 different portraits. Some nice, cool blast effects. So that's one portrait. That's I think that's a screaming head.
Nice. Getting the
then
close up of the visor is actually helpful because it looks like a straight line until you get it up close.
Yeah, because it's meant to simulate. Let me have a look at this guy.
That's probably my favorite of them. That one.
That's the classic.
I like the grimace. The grimacing is very Dredd.
Yeah, very, very classic look, right? Dredd.
I am the law.
I am the law. By the way, a bit of trivia here. Who was the ultimate? Which metal band wrote a homage song to Judge Dredd in the 90s? If anyone can answer that, I might think about sending you something random. See if anyone can answer that. Which metal band
but I don't actually know.
wrote a homage song to Judge Dredd in 2080? Played with the higher Judges. I haven't actually, Adam, not yet. They are, I think, the 4-inch guys, right? The 4-inch scale guys, the smaller ones. Yeah. So there you go. So that's my verdict. I think they're kicking goals. These guys here. They're gonna. So like I said, if you're after this guy in the aftermarket and after this guy in the aftermarket, you're spending way too much money. It is 4-inch. Absolutely. The greens I like on actually the Mezcos. I feel like the greens are more rich on the Mezco. Sorry, on the Mezco, yes. That's a bit more muted, don't you think? Maybe it could be just a light angle.
I would say the new one kind of looks like it needed a bit of a wash. Just to bring the detail out a little bit. But that may be the lighting, perhaps. Because the other two, it looks like you can see the detail a little bit more, whereas the green on the new one is, I don't want to say flat. I think flat's the wrong word, but it certainly doesn't have the depth of the other two.
Yep. I would highly just implore people to get the Hiya Toys one now that it's available. When I'm looking again, it's very hard to tell, particularly on screen, if you're looking on screen and trying to ascertain if. But
I think it's phenomenal.
This version is so reminiscent of Mezco. It feels like it's a new improved version of the Mezco figure. All right, well that's the Dredd. That's my verdict on Dredd. And I think I'm really happy to get him. So I think it's available right now on pre-order. In fact, I think it is in stock at Sugo. So check it out. Cool. All right, Jace, Sylvester Stallone or Carl Urban, mate? No brainer.
It's Carl Urban all the way.
Carl Urban, man.
I don't hate the Sylvester Stallone movie. I'm not saying it's a very good Judge Dredd movie. It's not. But I don't think it's a bad... It's a fun movie. It would be a better movie if it wasn't a Dredd movie. But the Carl Urban one is... There should have been a Dredd 2. It's criminal that they didn't get one. It's a bigger crime that they didn't advertise it so that people knew the movie existed.
It's very well made.
Yeah, there's a reason why the director and every actor in that movie was upset. Because they got screwed, pretty much.
What, in Dredd? As in the Carl Urban Dredd?
Yeah, like they didn't basically tell anybody that it was coming out. That's why it didn't go very well at the box office, or not as well as they wanted it to. Because you had to be a super fan to know that the movie existed.
There you go.
It got most of its money back on streaming and aftermarket.
There you go. Cool. All right, man. And that's my poison. So let's go.
Yep.
The dessert for the night, Beastbox.
Yep.
Take it away, buddy.
I'm going to start with one thing, and that is a little bit of a look at Mr. Grumpy Pants, because I've been posing him while you were talking, and he's just very upset that he hasn't gotten more attention. But I could be wrong. I think it was Rob that was saying about how tempted he was about this one. I could be wrong. It was one of them. Somebody said that they wanted this. I've actually had this for a little while. I just haven't had a chance to open it. Well, that's not entirely true. I've been choosing not to open it because I was going to open it for the show, and I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Like a few things.
You got plenty more Beastboxes coming up.
I do, yes. I have some very nice friends that have sent me some. I was like, which of these don't you have? And I'm like, well, I don't have any of them. But I'll tell you which one I like in order, because I already knew why they was asking me at this point. Because they had been very subtle. And when I say subtle, I don't mean subtle. I love you all. But they're still on their way.
Yes.
I do love the coloring on this. I will just say, this is the same cube that's in all of them. It's actually the older version of the cube, which is the nicer one in my opinion. But I love the coloring on this. The coloring on this is absolutely phenomenal. So they obviously need to be up here. He's got a lovely pair of sunglasses on because he's just too cool. He's even smiling for the camera. Look at that. Look at that grin. That's where the trouble started. That smile. I have no idea what that meme is from, but I know the meme very well. And he's got a leg here. Where's... Oh, I've broken it. It's okay. I fixed it. Nobody panic. I fixed it. So... No, I've put it back to front. I need to break it again.
Did you break it?
No, I just accidentally popped it off the ball joint. It's fine. It's an easy fix. And when I put it back on, I put it on backwards. And now that I've taken it off, I've just realized I could have just, turned it around because it's a ball joint. So let's do this properly this time. It comes out. Like that. There we go. I'm not going to transform this into a box today because I don't know how to do it yet. But I just thought it was something I really needed to look at. I think that tail needs to flip out somehow as well. Maybe not. It looks like it should flip out somehow. Because that... Yep, there we go. Like, how cool is that? Like, this is like a $45, $50 toy off the top of my head. It's really, really affordable, these things. We'll leave Stallone in Tulsa.
I think Jason was referring to the Vegeta in that pose.
I would say so. He's upset because he lost his attention.
I love you, Jace. I expect a review of each and every one of them.
I love you too, Mikey, even though you have terrible opinions on chicken and sports.
If you can't take care of any of them, you can send them to me.
Look, I know a pretty good source that you can get them from, Jono.
Where?
The good thing about Beastboxes is that they don't actually take up a lot of room. Like they all fold up. Well, almost all of them fold up into these 5 centimeter cubes. It's a really, really simple idea. These things stack on the shelf, which makes them really easy to store. Then you can just take out the one that you want to play with, transform it back out into its normal mode. Like, again, this thing fits in here. There are some that are even bigger than this thing that still fit in here. I've got one that's like, it's not actually a squid. I called it a squid in the review that I did, but it's some ancient squid looking thing. And it's like, seriously, this big or something. I should bring myself up on camera. It's like this long, and then it folds up into this cube. It's absolutely insane. I believe it was one of my favorite in the best of from last year. It's one of the top ones I put in there because it just was phenomenal. The fact that you can fit something that size into such a small box. I know what you're thinking. No, behave. But I love this guy. This is the first of the dinosaurs that I bought. I bought this largely because somebody in our group said that they were really tempted by it. So I was like, well, I should buy it because I want to buy them all anyway. And that way I can do a review and they can decide if they want it or not. I'm still not 100% sure whether it was Rob or whether it was somebody else. But at least from first impressions, I think you should get it. It looks really nice. This is really cool.
That looks cool. Even I want one. If you could just be me, but I'm getting a Zoid vibe from this Dino Beast box.
No, I can definitely see that. I can definitely see Zoid. Definitely. I mean, it's a robot dinosaur. What's not Zoid about it? Only thing it needs is like cannons on its shoulder, which you could probably find in the accessories if you look hard enough.
Give off a little bit of those vibes for sure.
I think the only thing it needs is I wish the mouth was articulated. It's not, unfortunately.
You're the beast box, man.
Yep.
Okay. On that note, we want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. It's very, very good. It's been a while. We've been wanting to do one of these for a while. Yep. I'm going to end.
We also want to thank Sugo Toys for supporting us. This has been a conversation that's kind of been happening for a little while behind the scenes, so we're very appreciative of them.
Absolutely. If you want any of these guys over here, look at these glorious dreads.
Yeah.
Or if you want to buy Mezco on aftermarket, ThreeA on aftermarket, go for your life, but you can get a very good version.
They also do these. They don't do the other ones that I'm covering that I know
of. Yes. So are you talking about the Beastboxes?
Yeah, they don't have the Beastboxes.
No, they don't.
At least not yet. Maybe they will start. I don't know.
Maybe at some point. To end the night, while you were doing that, I think for me, Mezco takes the cake. So the older figure Mezco, this guy here, he takes the cake. There's something about him that is just hard to beat. Everything from sculpt, it's that figure is literally, I would say, a good coming to 10 years old now, and it's still amazing. Anyway, so thank you all for joining us tonight. We had a great time shooting shit and doing live streams, midweek musings. We muse and we talk about toys. Stay tuned also for more stuff coming up. Make sure you get your 10% code off site-wide. Pre-order and in-stock items. It excludes special order products, wallet credits, or any mystery boxes. So don't try that code on those things. Offer ends until the 31st of October, limit to 1 redemption per user. They were also very nice because they did us a group buy for all those Transformers fans. Like I said, disclaimer, we do not have anything monetized, nor do they provide any cash for comment. We just love shopping there, and they were very helpful. They want to do something very nice, so they're giving everyone a 10% discount. So there you go. So check them out. Also, thank you to Rode Microphones for always making us sound good. Alex Argento for all the music beds. In fact, Alex Argento as well as Icefish all the way in Italy for doing that stuff. And also Dave for doing most of our graphics and the new little stinger. And to all the guys involved behind the scenes for making this happen all the time. And more importantly, my co-host, Jason the Bruce, for coming on and always showing up. So there you go. Thanks very much. Thank you. Thank you. Yep.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. It's been great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. All right, stay tuned because on the next episode, we are going to be doing maybe World of Warcraft. Something alluding to that pretty soon. We're gonna unbox and show off an Illidan Storm Rage, also available now. So okay, guys, have a good night. Bye.